We are now live. So welcome to the very first episode of the Developing Communities, the DevRel podcast. So I think just as we get started, by way of introduction, I'll just introduce myself and my co-host will introduce himself. But I'm Mackenzie. I'm a developer advocate for a cybersecurity company called GitGuardian. So I am passionate about all things AppSec, InfoSec, and cybersecurity. That is me.
And I am Alex. Thank you, Mackenzie. I am more on the developer marketing side of things. I'm from that rare breed of people who've done marketing and slowly plunged into the world of software development. I work for Ponycode. We are an AI-powered tool to assist developers doing code quality better and faster, hopefully. Today, we're like a free extension for VS Code to do a unit test, but further down the road, there is documentation tools and monitoring tools that are coming along the way. And I've been passionate about developer marketing for not so long because I'm still young, but I really like the no bullshit and the high value marketing that we have in the community. And that's how I ended up, and the people you meet in a very innovative field. That's how I ended up meeting Mackenzie. And we started this podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely true what you say, no bullshit in the world of developers. I think it scares away some marketing guys, but if you've stuck around this far, you're here to stay. So that's good to say. Yeah, and I guess to talk just a little bit about what this podcast is going to be about. There's DevRel, developer advocates, developer evangelists, whatever title we're going under is really an emerging trend, and something that there's not a huge amount of information on. It can be a daunting task. So me and Alex and myself wanted to start a podcast that kind of documents our journey as we learn to go through this. I think, Alex, that'd be a fair statement on your side too?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think actually it's not only a difficult task with little resources, but it's like really fast paced. For me, it's shocking. Like I've worked in other industries, and it's changing way too quick. And I think we already stuff to talk about today about that. But I think the first developer relationship people I've ever met were in big corporation, and so they have the means and the targets, I guess, to do their job in the best conditions. But more and more, and I think you are an example of it, is smaller companies, startups, and medium-sized companies have also this need to connect with their user base, with their customer base, and it's not as easy. We don't have the same means. We're still having a product, a younger product, evolving. And so those discussions are really essential to find the best practices and kind of figure out where we're going with this.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, and what you say, that it's something that is emerging in that the smaller level of startups too. I joined GitGuardian when there was about 30 people. In that real high growth kind of stage after they did a funding round, and a developer advocate was something that they really wanted to hire early on in the process. It seems like it would be a luxurious role that's kind of available only to the giants in the world. But I think that as the title has been around for a little bit of time, and the different strategies we have, that it's becoming a kind of a role more and more that's kind of getting in those earlier stage companies, and it's great to see, and particularly with early stage companies like Ponycode, like GitGuardian, where there's just a huge focus on providing value to developers. It's really an important role, but one that is certainly not obvious to the outside.
Yeah, it's the other day I had a discussion with a person working as a developer relationship in a company of 5 people, a young startup, and I was like, why do you have a developer relationship? But he answered rightfully, why not? And it's true that developer relationship feels ahead of the curve because before making marketing and communication, you need to connect with the people who use your product, and you need to understand them and talk with them, and have this more intimate connection that helps a product to become a company to become mature and to have a mature product. And it makes so much sense when you think about it now.
Yeah, I think it does. Having that connection to the end user, it's so important. Being able to shape that, having that drip feed into the people that are actually using the product, getting their feedback, and plugging that back into the top early on. I think it saves an awful lot of money. I've been in startups for a while, and so often we can go off on a tangent building what we want to build. And it ends up when you go to market that you're so far away from what your users wanted to use, what developers wanted to use. And developers, we can be unforgiving if a tool doesn't meet our needs. We're not going to give things a whole lot of chance because we move so fast. We're moving so fast that if it doesn't hit the mark, if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, it doesn't meet our needs, and it's not something we're going to hang around and wait for it to improve.
You're raising my anxiety levels, Mackenzie. I'm thinking about everything I need to
do. No, yeah. Well, but that's why we're here. We're here to learn to get through this together. And share as we go what DevRel is all about, and the people that are doing it well. And hopefully we'll collectively lower our anxiety levels. Although we work in the startup life, we're bound to have some anxiety as a constant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, do you have any? Got here just in the outline just to look into some news in the industry. Would you anything that's really tickled your fancy this week in something that's moving along in the DevRel world, Alex?
Actually, yeah. When we were talking about the outline of this podcast, I thought it would be a good idea because I'm getting through so much piece of news and new tools, and sometimes I lose an hour on Product Hunt too. And so I thought maybe it was a good opportunity to kind of share what's been around. And honestly, I haven't been focused on the news this week, but I've been desperately looking for new ways to share like code and especially interaction with code visually. I mean, like code snippets in blog articles or in view videos I do. And so I was looking for new ways to do that. I've been like dissatisfied with what was available for me. And so I just wanted to share, like, first, I love graphic design. And there is one thing that appeared on my stream. It was launched on Product Hunt, I think a couple of months ago now, and it's called ray.so. ray.so, and it's just to build quickly really beautiful code snippets. And it's been helping like my social media and my blog posts to build them much quicker and to make really beautiful code snippets, visually beautiful. So that's been useful. And as I was looking more into stuff, I found out about VS Code stories, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's like Instagram stories, but within VS Code, so you can share what you do with your code and kind of manipulation with your code and share it to the community. Hopefully we don't get to the point when we do like Clubhouse VS Code. Hopefully we don't get to TikTok VS Code because I don't have the moves for that. But anyway, I was looking also at like GitHub Gist, which is like the basic tool, the most efficient tool. But my team has been building more and more tutorial with Loom. I mean, the added value of Loom is just to have your face out there, but to have a tutorial when you have the person interaction, especially since we've been working remotely for so many months, to have like a format of videos which includes a human person, that's very, very valuable. And I feel like the retention of viewers on such videos compared to blank screenshots are much better. So I'm kind of curious to hear out, like, if anyone out there has new tools to share with me. I'm a greedy person, so I'm like, okay, give it out to me. I need more ideas and more stuff.
Yeah, there are all things that I wasn't on my radar. Code snippets. I always used to use Carbon, which was a tool for that. But I have to check out Ray.so. And VS Code stories. I had no idea. I honestly had no idea that was a thing. So I'm gonna have to check that out.
And you can actually see sorry, you can actually see random people's stories on your VS Code. So I feel like this is going to distract me from writing any good code. So yeah, be careful with this one.
Yeah, I'd be worried about sharing sometimes putting my code out into the universe. I'd be worried that please don't make fun of it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. You find out that this is a much more efficient way of doing something. But hey, that sounds cool. Well, it's also, I mean, while we're talking about this kind of code stories here, I guess this brings me into something that I wanted to talk about today. Not something that I myself consider me as a huge expert in this field, but something that I'm trying to improve on and something that I get asked questions about from people that are coming into it, and that's social media, but specifically how to engage with developers on social media. Because if you're like me, there's just so many tools and social media applications out there that we could use. Do we use Reddit? Do we use Slack, Discord, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, LinkedIn? Or how do we really engage? What's the right way to do it? And how do we get meaningful engagement? And I think as I've dived into this, the kind of solution is that it doesn't really matter what social media you're using. But the one thing that I've never seen anyone do really well is being able to use all of them at the same time effectively. I'd be curious, what do you think of this, Alex, from your marketing standpoint? But the people that I see using social media for developer relationships really well have a specific channel that they focus on. If it's Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, and focusing your efforts onto something to try and create an engaged community in one place first before expanding out and still having the other stuff, but just really focusing on that. What's your thoughts on building engagement with the developers and using social media to do this?
I agree with you, basically. Right now, I'm not a very good advocate of this because I've been exploring different social media and I'm really eager to try new stuff. So I'm kind of all over the place, but it's in order to find the right fit further down the lane. But out of my experience is like there is three dimensions to a social media. Is like, is your audience on that platform? Is that format working for your product solution and to talk with this audience? And the three, and maybe the most important one these days, is like, are you actually enjoying this platform? Are you taking pleasure into connecting with your audience there? Because not only finding one platform and focusing on it is important, but enjoying doing it is going to make a huge difference, because how you're going to be playful with that format, how you're going to try to innovate, to disrupt that communication, that channel, and get above water, because at the end, that's what matters, is how you're going to be able to make yourself noticed on that infinite thread of Twitter post or LinkedIn post or whatever it is.
It's so true, and what you say really reminds me of a developer advocate that, in my opinion, is really killing it on all of the points that you just made. So there's Joe Carlson. He's a developer advocate at MongoDB. And what really surprised me is that you mentioned there, is your audience on the social media? I didn't ever think that TikTok would be a social media that I would be able to engage with developers. And to be honest, it's not something that I engage with developers on. But Joe creates the most engaging. He's a very engaging guy. Creates the most engaging videos that are developer focused on TikTok. Has tens of thousands of people, and is able to create polls and start discussions and answer questions on TikTok. And the key point is that it would never work for me. Maybe it would, but I'm not as engaging on video, especially that short format. But you can tell that he enjoys using that medium, and that it's something that the audience is clearly there because they're engaged with him, even though that was a total surprise to me. And regularly post it. And he's someone that I notice he has great traction on a lot of different social media. But I feel like TikTok and maybe Twitter are the bases that he uses, and then he shares, the TikTok videos on the LinkedIn as well. So you get that expanded reach, but you're really focusing on that one area. And I just find that interesting of what you just said, particularly of that key point. Are you enjoying it? And I think that's totally critical to building a good social media following with developers. So you have to be passionate about what you're sharing and enjoying the medium that you're doing it. So really, really interesting. But I just I like to bring up Joe in there because it was such a surprise to me that TikTok just didn't occur to me that would be a place where developers would hang out.
Developers are everywhere. You should know that.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, this is true. Yeah. I hang out in my geeky security Discord groups, sharing memes. I wasn't aware that TikTok was for anyone but dancing dancing people. But hey.
See, we're a good match because I'm TikTok obsessed, but I'm so shy with Discord. I'm always trying to enter a conversation out there, and so I stick with TikTok and developer content on there.
Yeah. Well, it's a wide world. Have you branched into Clubhouse at all? Have you taken that leap down the Clubhouse path?
I'm not a big advocate for the Clubhouse format because resource management. There was when you see the momentum it had, you were like, I want to be part of that momentum, and jumped in. But for me in my work, it was a moment when we're doing so many stuff. I was like, okay, if I want to do something new, I want to be sure that it's long lasting. And Clubhouse didn't feel yet that kind of platform. And I do believe it's not going to be. I think there were some key people that took over the platform and they're going to stick with it. But with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter launching their own version of Clubhouse, I believe that I'll get other opportunities to have a seat at the table of speaking rooms.
Yeah, that might be one of those statements that get played in 5-year times if Clubhouse has taken over the world. Yeah. You play this, I do not believe Clubhouse. I am much the same as you. I struggle with the Clubhouse format, but I think it just goes back to it's not something that I enjoyed my time on when I was like looking through Clubhouse, especially as I felt when I got my exclusive invites, which is very clever marketing on their side. But it's going to be interesting. But I think kind of rounding out this social media conversation, like where should you, if you're a new developer advocate, where should you build your time to build community? And I think that it comes down to it's where you want to hang out the most. And the one final thing that I'll say is that I see some people doing is that if your goal is to get genuine interaction with developers and create conversations, which it should be, then there's no shortcut to having to create a lot of content, post out there, and engage in a lot of conversations. There's tools that you can use to help manage social media, Hootsuite, Crowdfire. You can even create bots, Phantom Buster, for example. But and sure, you may gain some followers from that and reach out there, but it's not how you're going to build an engaged audience. So I think that's just one thing for people to stay around. But don't be tricked by the vanity metrics of how many followers you have and how many how many likes you have in your picture. I think that's much more important if people actually know who you are. And if you go to a conference and people know who you are, then that's the measure of what you should be aiming for on social media, and not to aim for 50,000 bots that follow you.
Yeah, no, but that's the whole point of being a developer relationship, is not being a communication department with a blank profile with an icon of your company's logos on it. It's you as a person. You are the developer relationship, so you get to choose your platform depending on what you like and where you connect with people. So that's great. But I do like a few vanity metrics. I gotta say, I like having
my claim to fame last week was Anonymous retweeted my tweet. I couldn't figure out what happened. I got 150 retweets. No, I'm not someone. I'm someone that's lucky to get 2. I was. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I pinned that post. It's my pinned on my Twitter. I like that I got some street cred up there now. So a little bit of vanity is okay.
Very good. Maybe I can pick up from here because
go for it.
I was thinking, you said Clubhouse, you had to get invites, and I was thinking one of the things I hate in the real world is queuing, and with the digital world, I hoped I would get away with that, and especially when it comes to events. And I hope the online event world is not going to start to work on like this invite Clubhouse based system where I have to run after friends or Facebook friends to get in. No, what I was interested about talking today is like the digital fatigue I get with online events. I'm a bit scared because things have been changing so much over the past 2 years, the pandemic. 2 years now, 1 year and a half. That's enough already. The formats have changed, and the attractions of the events have changed, and the time we're ready to spend on those events have changed. And so I've had opportunities to be a sponsor with my company to some events, a speaker, or to have some of my team members to be speakers at events, and also at an audience where I get to exchange, do a bit of networking, and connect with the dev community. This year, I've really started to wonder, like, what's going to be my next move? Like, what am I going to sign up for, and what do I still want to be part of? And I don't know if you've experienced that fatigue as well.
Yeah, you're talking about the fatigue of kind of when things go back to quote unquote normal, and we have conferences and meetups that are happening in person again. It's what's going to linger on? How many events have to keep going? Is that kind of what you're talking about? And getting tired of talking to your screen by yourself?
I have this conference, this session maybe interests me, but it's 1 hour and a half long, and I'm going to sit in front of my computer, and after 20 minutes, I'm going to get distracted, and it definitely does not. And I haven't connected with anyone over that session or that conference, so it definitely doesn't have the same impact as the physical one we're used to.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. As there's when this all started, and I started seeing these conferences go virtual, my immediate thought was what an awesome opportunity this is to really get involved in conferences across the other side of the world. We both live in Paris. There are a few conferences that we're fortunate enough to have here, but there's huge number of amazing conferences across the world that we just can't get to in a normal year, and having them all virtual meant that we could get to them. But when you go to these events, it's my own engagement in it is difficult. And then when you're part of it is that when you're in a conference, it's the excitement, is the build up, it's meeting people in the hotel lobby over drinks. That's when you get the most valuable insights. And someone asks you, "What do you do?" "I'm a developer advocate for GitGuardian." "Oh, that's that company." And then you get some raw feedback, and those interactions that you can't recreate. And man, people tried so hard, and I think we got better with these breakout things happening in Zoom and trying to recreate it. But I'm ready to go back to normal conferences, get that energy of people, people talking, and there's chance meetings. Feeling sick before you go on stage presenting, it's like just shaking with nerves because you've got this brand new talk that you've never done. It's something disconnecting about speaking at a conference behind your computer screen when you're in your PJs. That's something special about being nervous, and it pushes you to do good. So
for me, it was. Sorry, I let you.
No, you go.
For me, it was definitely a game changer. First, because the big names out there that were used to attract the highest number of people are not necessarily the best at doing online events. And I've seen actually, I was checking, I shouldn't name things, but I was checking Microsoft Ignite on Google Trends. And this year is the smallest reach they ever got since they started in 2015. And I was like, that says a lot about how much traction online event can get, even from the best of us, the wealthiest of us, maybe. And so I'm seeing like smaller companies, smaller startups organizing their own events, and it's not the amount of money that makes the best events. Or the best speakers. It's like everybody is at the same stage. You find a good platform, you get a good organization, and then you find a good format. And for me, the things I've been really attracted about this year is like I've had small conference with like 6 speakers, not the biggest people in the industry, but they came with something new and relevant and that has a lot of value. And suddenly you see like 6 sessions of 30 minutes and you're like, okay, 30 minutes, I have the time and I want to see everything they have to tell me, because I felt refreshed. And I've seen a couple of those. So that's the first side, is like it's not just product launches and announcement anymore that are deal breaker, are making a good conference. I need like the good speakers with new ideas and new angles. And so that's how I try to build my participation or the participation of people in my team. And the other side of it is like, okay, being a speaker is not always possible, especially as a startup. You can always block a week of work to prepare your session. And so I started to be like, okay, let's try to connect. And that hotel lobby networking, where am I going to find that this year? And I see some conferences who have great content, but no audience or no audience interaction. And that's a deal breaker for me. Mm-hmm. And I've seen conferences where people in the chat during the session are like, there is the amount of discussion. You're like, how this can have that amount of interaction, and some other great conference have no interaction whatsoever. And I know for a fact that I have a few friends organizing conferences who have people dedicated to steer the conversation up in the chats, or if there is a Discord on the side of the conferences, they're there all day long, and that has a lot of value for me now. And I've started to connect with people over session chats, discussing some topics and reconnecting with them after that. And now I'm looking at that. I'm like, I no longer necessarily need to be a speaker. Needless to say, my company is sponsor to be out there and connect with people, even online and without a beer in my hand, unfortunately. But it was really game changing this year. And now when I'm looking at the metrics of the conference I want to be part, I definitely look at their capacity to create interaction. It can be on social media, it can be on their Discord, on their Slack, it can be on Livestorm, whatever it is. If there are people who are going to be out there and sharing their ideas, I want to be there and I want to be part of that. And that's the crazy thing, because people are making the effort. Less people maybe are coming to conferences. Maybe conferences are not as exciting, but when people do come, the value and the quality of interaction you can get is really, really impressive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Have you had the same experience?
Yeah, the thing that I found the most is that I from my personal experience, is that the online format of conferences throughout the year of the pandemic worked best the smaller the conferences was. Almost at a meetup level, It worked really well. But, I'm not saying it's a replacement. But when we got up to the largest conferences, GitHub Universe, which you guys, Ponycode was a sponsor of, it's so big that people feel too small to interact. That was something that I found. If you got the online chat on the side and it's going so fast that no one can possibly keep up, then you're not going to or there's too many people that you're worried that you're going to say something silly, which we all kind of worry about sometimes. It's prohibitive for that creation, that interaction. So I kind of feel like I wonder, but these are on my metrics. I use GitHub Universe as an example of something that I felt was so big that when you compare it to what a physical event would be like, it's for me the connection, what I'm there for, and meeting people and talking and going into and finding the little talks that you wouldn't haven't found, that wasn't there. But perhaps on GitHub side, it was really successful. Maybe for them getting their message across to thousands of people, millions of people perhaps at one time was very valuable. So I wonder, but from a developer relationship point of view, very difficult to build relationships. GitHub actually told me off because I was commenting too much on the forums, but it wasn't able to get that connections from that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how the online conferences work. I definitely feel fatigued from it. I need to be really energized with either a different format of conference on a smaller scale, or maybe with the vaccines rolling out, we can start to enjoy the in-person events again. But I'm ready to I'm definitely ready to have a bit of a change up. Yeah.
I started to get invitation for physical events for next month, and I was like, I like the enthusiasm, but let's be cautious, please.
Yeah, is that there's a cybersecurity one coming up in Paris in a couple of months, I think. The FIC. So it'd be interesting. And Paris is in a lockdown right now, so I'm skeptical. But hey, if it's allowed, I'm there. I'm there with a beer in my hand in the hotel lobby, name tag on, ready to chat. So if you're there, do come find me.
If you see someone with a name tag in a hotel lobby, it's Mackenzie Jackson looking to make friends, so you can go and talk to him.
Yeah, I might just do this even without conferences. This is just going to be my weekend activity. Well, I mean, I think I don't know. Should we? I feel like this brings a bit of a natural end to this first episode. Something that I'm going to be really curious about is as this podcast evolves, I want to hear from the people that are listening what you want. We're going to try and bring in some guests where we can to talk about specific topics and unpack certain things. If there's certain areas that you want to dive into, how to create certain content, where to find certain things, then it's probably something that that everyone as a whole is interested in. So it's going to be really interesting to see. So please reach out to myself or Alex. You'll find me everywhere on social media under Advocate Mac, but Twitter is probably the best place if you want to reply. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this format evolves. Alex, any final closing remarks before we finish up our digital, talking about digital fatigue, our digital podcast?
No, I was thinking, we started to think about this podcast because we have different background, but we work in the same area, and we thought we have different opinion. Today we had the same opinions, but maybe different sources of information and insight on things. But I'm really curious to see where we confront. I think that's something that haven't happened so much yet, but I want to disagree with you. I'm looking forward to it. And now you can also reach out to me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn at the moment. You can actually, I'm handling Ponycode a lot for Ponycode social media. So you can always reach out to the Ponycode social media and follow us. And I'll definitely answer to you personally.
Clubhouse. Alex loves Clubhouse.
on TikTok, if you find Ponycode TikTok, because I'm doing some silly stuff to relax. The marketing team is like trying to have fun with TikTok these days. So if you find Ponycode TikTok and you enjoy it, please tell us.
Okay, I need to get on TikTok a bit more. Whenever I talk about social media, I feel old because it's something that moves so fast that you think that you're young, but nothing makes me feel more old than social media.
Those days are over for us,
but, yeah.
Mackenzie.
Well, until next time, and what Alex hopes will be a more confrontational podcast from me. But, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday and the next episode.
Thank you very much. See you around.